Good morning. I'm Diane Hall with AARP Missouri, and I'd like to welcome you to our third Movement for Life class of 2022. This 8-week class is part of AARP Missouri's Moving It Fitness series and is led by Tyler Ferguson. Hi, Tyler. Movement for Life is geared toward increased mobility to help build ability to participate in other fitness activities as well as accomplish everyday tasks. Now, speaking of other fitness activities, you can find many of our previous fitness classes on Missouri's YouTube channel at youtube.com/c/AARPMO. The Movement for Life class is a class that's suitable for many levels of fitness. However, you know your own limitations, so please do not try to go beyond what you know is right for you. If you have any concerns, check with your doctor before participating in this or any other AARP fitness offering. AARP Missouri also offers live classes, starting other live classes, not just this live class. And starting on February 3rd, we'll have a new Zumba Light class. We have links for past programs like Bar Roomba, Forever Fit, and Yoga with Tyler that you can participate in from those recordings. You can find links to current, past, and upcoming programs at aarp.org/movingit. Now, all of our programming is created with people age 50 plus in mind, but it's good for anyone of any age, anywhere. AARP hopes that our fitness classes, like our Movement for Life class, will be a great option for anyone who may not be able to, or who may be a little bit hesitant to attend a traditional fitness class, like a caregiver or someone with a health concern, or just for the convenience of working out at home. In addition to our online fitness classes, AARP also has resources for caregivers, up-to-date COVID-19 information, and technology information on our website at aarp.org/nearyou. So now let's get started with Movement for Life. Our instructor is Tyler Ferguson. Tyler, let's move.
All right, thank you, Diane. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining. Hello from sunny Tampa, Florida. Let's come to standing on our mat. If you're new to this class, I encourage you to participate barefoot if that's good for your body. Bring your feet about hips distance apart and see that your toes are facing forward. And then take your eye gaze away from the camera, either down to the floor in front of you, or even close your eyes if you feel comfortable with your balance there. Breathe in and allow yourself to feel your feet on the ground. And take some time to slow down and feel. Notice how much pressure is in your big toe. Notice how much pressure is in your pinky toe. Notice the pressure in your heel. If your microphone's on, be sure and turn it off right now. Otherwise, keep feeling in your feet. And then notice the spaces in your feet that don't touch the floor. Maybe spaces between the toe pad and where it connects to the foot, or the arch of your foot. Now slowly begin to add more pressure to the outside edges of your feet. So you might even roll your feet to the outside a little bit so that there's less pressure on the inside and lots of pressure on the outside of the foot. Notice how that feels. Take the inside to the feet, peel them back down into the floor, and keep peeling so that all the pressure's on the insides of your feet, the inside edges, and the outside edges have no or little pressure. Take note of how that feels in your body. Roll the feet back to neutral, and then allow yourself to shift and put pressure into the big toe mounds and the toes. Notice how that feels for a moment. And then shift your weight into the heels of your feet so that the most weight is there. And notice. Then take all of those spaces where you could be and shift around so that your weight is evenly distributed inside, outside, heel, and toe pad. From there, lengthen through your spine, stand up tall, and take the area of your navel and draw it back toward your spine. You might feel some muscles turn on in your abdominal area. So using your abdominal muscles to stand nice and tall. And then the very, very top of your head, lift and lengthen to the sky. Take your shoulders and draw them down and away from your ears. From here, close your lips, but inhale in through your nose. Feel the air move on the back of the throat and fill up the lungs. Exhale the same way. Air moves out of the lungs, through the back of the throat, and out of your nose. A couple more times. Slow and deep inhale in, and continue breathing in this pattern in through the nose and out through the nose as long as this movement or this breath doesn't feel forced or uncomfortable to you. On your next inhale, inhale length through the spine. And on your exhale, maintain the length. Don't allow yourself to get shorter or succumb to gravity. On your next inhale, expand and stack the rib cage on your inhale. And on your exhale, stay stacked and nice and tall. Great work, yogis. Let's begin to bring more action into our stance. We're in mountain pose, feet are hip distance apart. From here, pretend like you have your imaginary beach ball in between the legs and squeeze your legs together. So you're going to feel your feet as if they're moving toward one another on the mat, but they don't. But allow that energy to go all the way up into the hips. So maybe you can feel some activation in this higher part of the upper leg. Stand tall from that activation. Continue to breathe and continue to squeeze your imaginary ball. And then release and wiggle your legs and let that go. Now put on your imaginary band, big, thick rubber band. Same idea. Pull the legs apart, not just at the knees. Pull the legs apart at the hips. And then notice if you get some different muscles that come on up in the hip girdle, your adductors, your abductors. Good. Pull the ground apart. Stand up tall as you pull the ground apart. Keep breathing. And release and let it go. Now, here's today's challenge. We've been building up to this. Can you squish the beach ball and pull the band apart at the same time? So you can go ahead and try it now, or I'll give you the trick. The trick is to rotate at the hip socket externally. So these toes, I'm going to screw my foot into the ground and rotate externally. My foot doesn't move, and I feel that rotation in the hip. On the left side, I screw in the other direction. I feel that rotation up in the hip. And when you do that, you might feel how your glute muscles, that flesh in your seat turns on. And then notice how you can pull apart toward at the knees and still squish in the inner thighs at the same time. It's nuancy, so you have to practice it to get the feeling. Stand up nice and tall here. Big inhale. And exhale, push the shoulders away from the ears. Cross your hands in front of your chest. Now, you can keep finding that activation in your legs. Sometimes it's hard to hold on to it and remember, and I'll just try to cue you to remember to stay active in your legs. Another point here is you want to be fully extended in your hips, but so your hips aren't here. You want to be in full extension in the hips, but you don't want to lock out your knees. You want to have this little micro bend in your knees. From here, cross your hands on your chest. The reason we do this is the chest doesn't move. And then you're going to draw your chin down toward your chest. Move nice and slow today. So it's not about just getting there and going, okay, now what does she want from us? What's next? Move as slowly as you can. And take time to notice how if you just stay with the movement, you can get a little deeper. And then observe where the sensation is and breathe. Now we're going to move in the other direction. So you're going to lift up your chin back to neutral. Keep your hands on the chest and notice as the chin lifts up toward the ceiling and you open through the throat, the chest doesn't travel with you. It stays still. Your thoracic and lumbar spine shouldn't move. Open up the front of your throat. Take an inhale here. Exhale, slowly draw chin down to chest. Stay connected with your movement. Notice when you feel sensation. And then keep moving through the sensation to your end point where it still feels safe, no pain. Sensation is okay, but not pain. Lift the chin one more time. And then notice if you're able to keep length through the neck as you lift the chin up to the ceiling. So you don't want to crunch your neck in the back. You want to stay long and pull. And then final time, chin comes down to the chest. I was thinking this morning, I slept the wrong way the other day. And just having these little exercises, this is the third week we've done these exercises. Hopefully they're beginning to make more sense to you without my cueing. And then bring your chin back to center. So you can rely on these exercises on your own. Now make fists, punch the floor. When we punch the floor, it takes the shoulders down and away from the ears. We're gonna go into rotation. Go back into the legs, maybe get the legs active, navel into spine, that's turning on the core, and then rotate your chin as if you're looking over your left shoulder. Keep rotating, try not to tilt, just rotate. Like your head's on a swivel. Breathe, and then bring your eye gaze back to center and rotate your head the other way. Now, part of all this movement, it's a mind-body connection. So we're observing here. Continue to breathe, continue to be active in the legs. So many things to work on with these very, very simple movements. That's what makes this work a little bit more complex. As you revisit the first side, you can notice a couple of things. One, how does one side come back through the middle, go to the other side? How does one side feel relative to the other side? Come back through the middle. Or you can think to yourself, how does this rotational movement feel this week compared to how it felt last week? Come back to center, moving to the other side. Does it feel more accessible? Do I feel like I'm increasing my range of motion? All kinds of little data points for you to gather. Bring your eye gaze back to center. Our final movement's going to be lateral flexion, ear to shoulder. Drive knuckles down, active in your glutes and in your stance. Bring your right ear toward your right shoulder, but you want to stay long in your neck. The way we stay long in the neck is to take the left earlobe and pull it up to the sky. Whenever we work with the spine, we want to create space and length in the spine. We never want to crunch it. Now to exit to the other side, bend your chin down a little bit, bend the knees, take your chin down, bend the knees, take your left ear over to your left shoulder. So get set there, left ear, left shoulder. Now check in with your right earlobe, pull up and away to the sky. You'll feel sensation more as you actively pull that earlobe up, and then breathe. Make sure you're breathing with me. Let's switch on the exhale. So take an inhale here. Exhale, chin down, knees bend, switch, right ear to right shoulder. And I want you not only to learn these exercises and learn how you can incorporate them into your life, but learn how to breathe with your exercise. On your next inhale, lengthen. Exhale, chin down, knees bend, switch. Left ear, left shoulder. Right jaw pulls up. Moving more quickly, inhale here. Exhale, chin down, switch. Right ear goes to right shoulder. Left ear pulls up. Inhale here. Now, when I say inhale here, exhale, switch, you don't have to change where you are in your breath pattern. You can continue to breathe and be where you are. I'm not going to get too far out in front of you. It's just so you know what's next. Inhale, chin down and switch. Back to center. Let's shrug the shoulders up to the ears. Shrug, shrug, shrug. Now, sometimes we live in this space, don't we? Sometimes when you're driving or you're typing. So we want to drive the knuckles down, pull the shoulders down away from the ears. Notice the space between your ears. Take an inventory of that space you can create. Draw navel to spine, and then externally rotate the hips to help you pull everything in the midline and recruit your core. And thinking about this distance, find it at the computer. Find this distance while you're driving. That's some of your homework for today. A couple more times. Open up your fingers, shrug the shoulders up. Drive the shoulders down and away. And final time, as the shoulders come up, we see it in the front, but in the back, it's our shoulder blades that are elevating, and then our shoulder blades that are pressing down or depressing. Good work, yogis. Chasing shoulders. Bring your knuckles out so that your wrist is the same level as your shoulder, one arm at a time. You keep your left arm. I'm just pointing for observation. Inhale, or don't worry about the breath. Just elevate the shoulder up into the ear, pull it back and retract it, and pack it down. And you're going to do that on the other side. Bring the shoulder up into the ear, pull it back and retract it, and place it down. keeping extension in the arms. This is called chasing shoulders. Right arm up, packing down. Left arm up, retracting down. Right arm and left arm. The whole time you're doing this exercise, you're breathing and you're trying not to leak power in the elbows. Push through the knuckles like you're pressing your knuckles into a wall so that you get the whole arm involved in this activity. And then notice how this activity can almost breathe you. Each time you pack, maybe palpate, or not each time, but this time, when you pack your right arm, palpate and see if you can feel any of that lat muscle turning on for you. Maybe feel it on the left side, and then release the arms and let it go. So these lats are part of our core, which is related to the shoulder function. So we want to learn how to use our core to protect our shoulders. A perfect example is if you've ever been to Chicago and you've opened like a huge heavy door in a hotel and the wind catches it, if your arm is out here, it's going to yank your arm out. But if your arm is down and packed and you're using your lat to open the door, when that wind catches you, get that huge lat muscle to protect you. Okay, I went off script a little bit. Where are we with this? Take your hands, interlace them, drive your fingers forward, round through the back of your spine or your thoracic spine, kind of between your shoulder blades. Take your eye gaze to your fingers. You can get a little cashewy in the tail, but try not to move your pelvis too much. Take a breath here. And then separate your arms. Pull your chest forward. Spread your fingers wide, let your arms get long. Lift your eye gaze a little bit and keep breathing, my friends. Now move nice and slow. Feel. Bring your hands together. Pull your heart back into your body. Is your back ribs round and expand to the back of the room? Chin comes down a little bit. Eye gaze is at the thumbs. Can you get more active in the legs here? Are you starting to slouch? Can you get more active? Separate the hands. Pull the heart forward. Feel the shoulder blades come together like you're squeezing a pencil. Breathe in. Sing a little song. Yes. It's like the Titanic, right? Or maybe it's not. Maybe it's not like, no, don't think Titanic. Well, some of the good things about Titanic. Last time, put your fingers together, shooting round. Now your shoulder blades are separating. You're creating some stretch and space throughout the back body. And then final time. Pull your heart forward, feel the shoulder blades meet one another. You might notice some stretch in your pec muscles, get stretch in your biceps and your arms, spread your fingers, breathe it in, and then bring your arms down, let it go. Great work, yogis. We're going to start off with our lateral spinal flexions. Just cross your hands at the shoulders here, get active in the legs, maybe find that rotation. Now lift your rib cage away from the pelvis, get tall, and then come over to a side. And then I'm thinking my spine is long the whole time. I'm bending over to the side. Now my right shoulder is closer to the floor. So I'm going to actively push down through my left leg, draw navel into spine, breathe, and then come back up to center. Lift and lengthen. Inhale, then exhale, bend over to the sides. Now, for those of you with any kind of shoulder injuries, stay right here with me. Keep your arms and shoulders out of the equation. Otherwise, inhale back up. Bring your arms up above your head and grab your opposite elbows. Inhale, lengthen. You can pull your elbows up. It's okay if the shoulders come in the ears here. And then come over to the right side again. I'm bending down the right side and pushing down through the left leg. And I'm going to inhale into this length. So big inhale into the left rib cage, feel it expand. On my exhale, I can come back up to center. Lift and lengthen first. Inhale. Inhale to get long. Exhale to fold or lean or bend. Notice the space that you've created along this rib cage. Breathe into it. See if you can target your breath and feel some sensation there. And come back up to center. I love those side bends. Every morning, those side bends make a big deal. All right, this time, come back here, hands right in front of the chest. Big lift and lengthen. Come over to the right side again. And then I'm gonna show you what this looks like from the side. Now, I want you to bend your knees and hinge at the front a little bit. Come over to the other side. You can straighten out your legs again, and then come back up tall. This is the beginning of spinal circles. Let's try that again. Lift and lengthen, right shoulder dips down. Flex your trunk forward as you bend your knees. Come across the front, come over to the left side. Straighten out the legs. So now you're bending on the left side, and come back up to top. Now you can start to smooth that out. And you can hinge your trunk forward as far as that feels safe. Just give yourself a lot of bend in the knees as you do that. Stay right there with your arms, or if it feels safe, bring your arms up overhead like we practiced. Bend your knees a lot when the trunk comes forward. Circle your spine. So all of these movements that we do, we're flushing fluids into our joint capsules. We're hydrating our joints. Keep breathing, my friends, bending the knees, only moving in a way that feels safe to you. Come back up to top, and we'll change direction. So remember, when you start a new direction, start with the kind of the lowest lever. So our arms can be these levers. So by starting here across our chest, keeping the arms out of the equation, so we're keeping that weight out of the equation. Then after you've tried it a few times, maybe you reach your arms overhead, grab opposite elbows, and then start finding some circles in your spine. Remember, we're staying away from pain, right? So make these circles as little or as big as it feels good to you. And as I was saying, we're just hydrating the tissues and the joints of our body. Continue to breathe as you find this movement. Always bend the knees to accommodate and create length in the spine. All right, arms down. So those are our spinal circles. Those can feel good, or if you guys are golfers, get those big juicy spinal circles in before you play some golf. Let's get our elbows. So make your Fonzie thumbs, pull the thumbs back to the ears, open up the wrists. Close the wrists down, back to the ears, and then open up the wrists. So nothing too difficult in this one, but hey, is your core engaged? Can you drive your heels down and find length in the legs? Can you squeeze the beach ball and pull the band apart as you're bringing a little hydration to your elbows? Now pause, wrists up, thumbs away. Bring your fists back to your ears and punch your thumbs through. Rotate your wrists up, bring your fists to your ears, punch through. Notice the wrists are down. Rotate up, there you go. Elbow circles in the other direction. Keep breathing, keep standing tall. You can stand there or you can stand there. Your choice, whatever feels good to you. But I would encourage trying to recruit as many muscles as you can. Okay, lastly, we're gonna do our wrists on the mat today, but here's some finger exercises. Put your hands out in front of you, squeeze and blade the fingers together, pinkies in, thumbs in, release. Spread the fingers apart. One more time, blade the fingers together. Last time, spread the fingers apart. Now some thumb circles. 1, 2, 3. Index finger, 1. And you're trying to move 3. You're trying to move the fingers independently from one another. So 3 circles, each finger. I'm trying to keep my wrist out of it. Once you get to your pinky finger and you got your 3 circles, take them the other direction. 3 circles the other direction on the pinky. I'm gonna get close. 3 circles other direction on the index finger. Go right into your middle finger. I said index, but I meant 4th ring. You know what I mean. And then 3 circles on your thumb. Now, just flick it out. Bring your fingers together, flick, flick, flick in front, flick overhead if that feels safe in your shoulders. Flick down, forward, right in front, at the ears, overhead. And shake it out. All right, good work, everybody. Where are we in today's work? Sorry. Oh yeah, I know where we are. Take your feet and take them a little bit wider than your shoulders now. This is a place where you could bring in your chair I'm just going to show you how to do this with your chair if it feels better. You're going to take your feet a little bit wider and turn the toes in. If you want, you can place your fingers in the chair. You don't have to. Now, pull your hips back behind your heel. Draw your navel to your spine as you start to perform this hip hinge. Your back should feel flat. And then pause here and notice, it can feel nice to rest your hands here to have more balance, but just notice where you get sensation. Probably going to get sensation along the hamstrings. If it's too much, you could bend the knees a little bit, that's fine. Just notice what this brings up for you. Now, to come back up to standing, push down through the heels as you pull the hips forward to come up to standing. Okay, we're going to do that again. Always know that you can use the chair, that it's there for you. We're going to do it again with the measuring sticks. So find the bony part of your ribs, put your thumbs there, put your pinkies on your pelvis, stand up nice and tall. And then what we're trying to avoid is this. See how I'm just moving in my back, my pelvis isn't moving? So I want to create the space between my thumb and finger. Now pull my hips back behind the heels. My chest moves down to the floor, but this distance between thumb and finger remains the same because my back is flat. I'm not rounding in my back, it's remaining flat. So think about pulling the heart forward. And you can keep your measuring sticks there. You can place your hands on your thighs, push your hands on your chair, whatever you want. Keep breathing here. You can always come out of this when you want to, but I'm just leaving you here just to get a little bit more stretch. Remember, you can bend the knees a little bit. Now to exit out, push down through your heels, squeeze your glutes a little bit as you pull yourself forward. Okay, we're going to try that one more time. This time, put your hands wherever you want them, measuring sticks, or you can put them in sphere of tension. So you're creating this tension that allows you to recruit more postural core muscles. Pull the hips back behind the heels, hinge forward. Your eye gaze is going to go down to the floor, so you don't have to look at the screen here. Maybe tuck your chin a little bit so you feel length in the back of your neck, and reach the crown of your head forward toward the computer. Now, draw your navel into your spine here. Notice how that changes how it feels. Stay here if it feels safe. Continue to breathe. Now, find your tail. If you had a tail, locate where that would be in your body, and then tuck your tail down to your heels. Notice how that creates a little stretch for you as you drive your tail down to your heels. And then to exit out, drive through the heels, snap the hips forward, and we'll come to standing. Toe, heel, your feet together. Good job, yogis. All right, let's get into our hips a little bit more. That was a little bit of work in the pelvis. We got the low back and hamstrings. Now we're going to work on our hips and those hip roots. So I'm going to pull the flesh of my left hip over to the side if I were on the mat this way, slightly off the mat, and also to the back of the room. It's like a 45-degree angle to the back corner of the room. And then the same is true for coming to standing. There's a common theme. You want to root down or drive your feet down to stand up tall. Good. Activate those legs. Find that corkscrew, that external rotation. Inhale here. Exhale, send your hips back in the other direction. Again, when I hinge, I have a flat back. I'm not rounding in my back. Good. Push that right glute back to the corner of the room. Inhale. Drive your heels down. Stand up nice and tall. Let's move a little bit more quickly. Inhale here. Exhale, hips over to the left. You might feel some pops in your hips. I certainly am feeling it. Drive the heels down to stand tall. Full extension here. And send the hips over in the opposite direction. Now, if you want to stay longer, that's fine. We're just going to hang out here. Stand tall. Inhale. Exhale. Drop the hips back in the original direction. Now, pretend like you have a paintbrush right on your seat. Start to swish. Swish the back wall. And then as you're swishing, try to get the brush to come over that side wall a little bit. You might feel a little stretch in your hip. Draw your navel into your spine. And then swish all the way across to the other side. And then do a little sweeping on the other side. And then switch all the way across to the original side. And then round your hips forward. Stand tall here. And you want full extension in the hips. So I'm not arching my back. I'm just not crouched. So I want to stand nice and tall, but then allow yourself to lift and lengthen through the spine. Send your hips a little bit more forward. Keep lengthening through the spine and allowing the hips to go a little bit more forward. Squeeze the glutes. So this is kind of like a back bend, but I'm staying long in my spine and my back bend, as opposed to just crushing my back here. Lift and lengthen, hips go forward. That back bend might feel good to you. Now come to standing, shoulders over the arches of the feet. Let's put all those pieces together. So I'm going to hip root back, swish to the other side, come forward, stand tall, find a little back bend, take my hips over to the original spot, hip root back. Ooh, lots of pops. Swish, come forward, stand tall, long back bend. I call these juicy hip circles. They are indeed juicy. After you get your stand tall, let's take them the other direction. Back, swish, stand tall, come forward. So that's an important thing to remember when we're working with the spine. No matter what movement it is, the slight tall back bend, or if we're working with the neck, we want to create and maintain length in your spine. Getting a little bit more fluid with our movement here. All right, great work. Let's move into our core work. This is where you can bring a chair into your practice, or if you just have the couch or a chair or a table in front of you, that will work too. So for those of you that need a little bit of extra balance, be sure and hold on to a wall or something for balance. Otherwise, drive down through the feet, stand nice and tall, draw navel to spine, pick up one heel, shift the weight to the other foot, and then come up so that you have this single leg balance. And be mindful of your structure. You still want your shoulders over the arch of the foot, and you want your knee over your ankle. Bring your arms out in front of you. And then I'm going to rotate my whole trunk in the direction of the standing leg, or the leg that's down on the ground.
You want to see what she offers?
No, not right now.
Somebody's microphone is on. So in the front, put your foot up, and then you're just going to find rotation in the trunk. Notice my knee isn't coming with me. I'm keeping that knee open, grounded, and tracking right over my toes. And where I'd like for you to feel this movement is in your oblique muscles. Can you create this rotation? Can you go in and find those muscles to create this bit of rotation? So I'm not using my hands or my shoulders to get there. I'm using those rotating oblique muscles in my trunk. Good. One leg comes down, other leg goes back up, but take time to get up. Drive down, stand tall. Engage, plant leg. Lift opposite leg, arms come out in front, and then start to find your rotation. That was pretty quick. If you want more time to set up, you take your time. We're doing about 5 of these. So move at a pace that feels good for you. You see where we're going. And then as you move into the rotation, notice where your hips are pointing. Actually, this is interesting. I'm really good at keeping my hips pointing forward, which is kind of terrible for my golf game, it turns out. But that's another thing to dissect later. So the knee is not flopping or traveling with you. You're maintaining that activation in the leg and then using those oblique muscles just to find rotation. About 4 or 5 of those, this leg comes down. Now we're going to move into our taps. And as we do that, again, be mindful of your balance and your level of comfort. If you have something that you can squeeze together, that's an option if your shoulders feel healthy. I'm just squeezing this block overhead. I know it cuts off my arms. And then again, draw navel to spine, tap, bring your knee up, draw navel in spine, and then foot goes down. Other leg goes up, navel to spine. So notice how when you step your toes up onto the chair. Now, by the way, if this overhead doesn't work for you and you want to hold on to something, that's where you need to be today. Meet yourself exactly where you are. I'm just trying to get options, give you options. But what I want to show you is the relationship between elevating or bringing the knee up in the air and using your core, using the abdominal muscles to help elevate that knee. Feel that relationship between lifting the leg and using the abdominal muscles. Awesome sauce. A couple more taps, my friends. And if you've had enough and you want to bring your block down to here, that's fine too. But every time you lift, draw navel to spine. Feel that relationship. All right. We're trying to feel more, not less, in the work that we do. All right, that'll be done with our core work today. Let's go to the toe cam. All right, footwork is always important. Sometimes I like to do footwork first because it allows you to really establish your feet and get them connected to the ground. But today we'll just do it in this part of the exercise. So our feet are still hips distance apart. Make sure your weight, your shoulders is over the arch of the foot. So just like we grounded before, make sure the weight is evenly distributed in the feet, and then lift and separate the toes, spread them wide. If you spread your fingers with your toes, that can be really helpful. And then place the toes down on the mat, very, very spread. Look down and see if you can see space in between the toes. And then again, lift the toes up off the mat, spread them wide, place them down. Now, this next time, when you lift your toes, does your body or weight shift in space? If it does, that's probably telling you that you're carrying a little bit too much weight in your toes. All right, lift the toes one final time, and then just start tapping through the big toe. So we're just trying to isolate movement. We want to have mobility in our toes, and we want, you know how our toes tend to, as we get a little bit older, kind of pull in. We lose our ability to push off. So we're trying to hydrate and move the tissues of our toes, release, and then try to just tap through the piggy toes. I'm going to use my pinkies to help. You'll notice my other toes move too, but I'm really trying to isolate my piggy toes. What you might also feel is some stretch, maybe even some slight cramping in your feet. Place your toes down, wiggle your knees, give yourself a little bit of a break from that work. I know it's intense. I'm going to give you a couple more toe exercises and a little bit of homework. Lift and separate all your toes, spread them wide. Now, place the toe pads down and then pull the pads toward your heel. And you'll see that I'm not curling my toes under. I'm putting them down flat and pulling the pads toward the heel. Feel how your arch gets nice and strong. Now lift and separate the toes, place them down, pull the pads towards the heels, feel the arches get strong. Now crush that beach ball together as the arches lift. Release the toes, release it all. Toe pads go down. Pull the pads back. Pull the inner thighs together as the toe pads come back. Turn on your glute muscles, draw navel to spine, and stand nice and tall. So this is called short foot. And if you look up the short foot exercise, it's great for anybody suffering from plantar fasciitis. All right, let's stand tall and work on our foot fold. So I peel up one heel and lower it back down. And then as I peel the heel up, I'm keeping all of the toes on the ground as well as the corresponding pads where the digit enters into the foot. So my big toe mound and piggy toe mound remain on the mat as I track the knee forward. It's also important that the knee tracks over about the second toe. Be mindful if you're tracking out to the side. Keep it tracking forward and then pause. Keep the heel nice and lifted and then wave the knee back and forth. Now when the knee goes back and forth, my piggy toe mound will come up, my big toe mound will come up. That's fine, because now we're starting to get into the ankle and the lower leg muscles on the outside and on the inside. So starting to move through those muscles. Now here's a new one. You might hold on to something for balance. Take this foot, put it behind you, and the toes are going to go down. They're not curled under. The tops of the toes are down, so the toenails are down. And then notice I bent a little bit to get here. Now I'm going to stand up tall and push through the top of my foot as much as I can tolerate that. So now I'm getting that nice stretch in my shin and the top of my ankle. It's that place that fatigues when you go roller skating. And it's up to you how much pressure. This is delightful for me, but it's up to you how much pressure you put in. And then bring yourself back and then get your feet grounded again. Feel your feet in the earth again. We'll repeat on the other side. So the heel lifts and lowers. The knee is tracking over the toes. I'm gonna look at my clock real quick, but you keep moving. Good. Lift and lower. Final time, keep it up here, and then roll inside and outside. So you're rolling across the mounds of the toes. In foot reflexology, we're massaging our lungs. So there are areas of the foot that correspond to areas of the body. So we're giving our lungs a little massage right now. And then we're going to pause, take that foot, place it back behind us, and press down through the toes. Now, if this is intense, don't press down as hard. Give your knee a little bend. Otherwise, stand up tall, press down hard. You can extend in through the hips, make this as challenging as you want. Stay with me with the breath. So the breath is a really great indicator whether or not an exercise is good for you. If you cannot breathe because that's too intense, then that's the message. It's too intense. You want to be able to breathe through anything you're doing. You don't want it to take your breath away. And release and let yourself go. We're going to make our way down to the floor for shin box. So if you have a chair and you'd like to follow along in a chair, feel free to do so. Otherwise, safely make your way down to the floor. There's a couple ways we can get there. You can pull your hips back behind your heel, bring your chest to your thighs, and then hopefully roll up into your hands and come down. That's one way to practice coming down the floor, or come down any way that works for you. On the floor, we're going to sit in that not so ladylike way, but a way that is great for the hips. So here, my heels are in line with my sits bones. I want to take my heels wider than my sits bones, and I have a lot of support in my hands here. You can turn your hands any way that makes you feel good, but make sure you're not slouching, right? You want to push down into the floor to find what? Length. Always length in the spine, even though this isn't a spine exercise. Now, keep this left leg steady. Diane asked us last week about the sits bones. Right now, both sits bones should be on the ground. And as we feather, you only want to feather the knee in as far as both sits bones can remain on the ground. So in other words, I can do that, but I come up off the ground. So that's not what I'm doing. I'm just feathering as far as I can tolerate with both sits bones on the ground. So this will take us kind of into our true internal rotation. And for most of us, this exercise right here can be weeks. You just stay right here in the shin box. And as I progress this in class, just stay right here and just do this one some more. Pause your right leg, feather your next leg. Another thing is if your arms or hands are fatiguing and getting tired, you can always block up. You can put risers, something behind you to make your hands more comfortable. Now it's important in this first one, as you feather, to keep the opposite leg still. That'll keep your pelvis still. So you're just moving. What we're doing is we're moving the femur head in the hip socket here. All right, last feather. Good. So some of you stay right there with the shin box. Others, we're going to go a little bit further now. I'm going to start with this leg. I'm going to let it drop inside, but I'm also going to let this leg drop too. Now, as you do that and you come up, your sit bone will probably be off the ground. The leg that's back behind you, that sit bone will probably be off the ground. The leg that's in front of you, that sit bone might be on the ground. So you're just going to feel that. You're just going to lift the spine, lengthen through the spine, and feel that. If your knees don't go all the way down, that's okay. Meet yourself where you are. And then you can play with it a little bit. Can you push your knees down? Or maybe that's not good for you. It's not good for everybody, certainly not the first time. Now watch what happens. The knees are going to come back up to the center, but I'm going to lean back to make it easy to bring them back up to the center. And then I'm going to drop them to the other side. This one, left knee goes inside, right knee goes outside. And then as the knees drop, I peel up. When I peel up, woo, that sit bone comes up off the ground. Big stretches in a lot of places, right? So use an opportunity just to explore here. You can rotate the trunk a little bit. Breathe here. Find how this works, sets and resonates with you. We got to keep moving. Place your hands back behind you. Lean back. Lift the knees. You'll notice I'm not scooching and spinning on my mat. My feet are staying pretty much in the same place. And I'm going to sit up nice and tall. And you can notice that as you sit tall, you can shift your trunk around and really get a lot of different sensation and stretch. Stay away from pain. Some of you that cannot tolerate deep knee flexion, you might have to open that up a little bit. That's okay. And some of you just won't work, and that's okay too. Lean back, shin box to the other side. So this shin box switch is for those of you that it feels okay to do. I'm going to add one more little piece. Hands go back, shin box switch. I'm going to rotate the center of my chest to get in line with the knee that's in front of me. For some, that's it right there. Just sit nice and tall. For others, lift and lengthen through the spine. Think about your belly button. Pull your belly button toward your thigh. This is called a spinal wave. And then start to wrap around. Now, for some of you, it might be right here. That's fine. But you're going to feel that stretch in your glute. For others, you might be able to go a little bit lower. Just be mindful, be smart, meet yourself where you are, and come back up. Hands behind, shin box switch. Sit nice and tall. Rotate trunk to the knee that's forward. Lift and lengthen through the spine, and then peel, keep lengthening as you peel the belly button down. That's going to rotate your pelvis, and then you can drape over as far as you have that in your toolbox. Now, normally I'd like to do about 3 of these spinal waves, but for today we've learned our spinal wave. Come back up to the center. You can go over and do another spinal wave again if that felt great to you, but we gotta roll class, wrap it up here. So after you come out of your spinal wave, if you're comfortable laying down, just come down to the mat. Maybe extend through the legs, let your head rest on the mat, let your arms open up if you feel safe down on the floor. Now, for some, your low back can still feel tight and it can talk to you. If your low back is talking to you, simply bend the knees and bring the feet flat on the floor. Walk the feet wide and let the knees fall together. Just take a moment for all of this work to sink in. It's no longer necessary to focus or concentrate on deep breaths. Allow the breath to just be shallow, but allow your body to get really heavy. And then just notice any place you're holding on that is unnecessary. See if you can let go. Sometimes we hold on in our groin, or in our teeth, or our jaw. Try to release all the work that you did today. And then one more breath. And start to wiggle your fingers and your toes. If your knees are already bent, keep them there. Otherwise, if your legs were long, slide your heels towards your seat so that your knees remain bent or become bent again. Feet are on the ground. And then if you're laying down, drop both knees over to the side, roll over into your side body. Take the arm that's on top and press yourself up to a seat. You can sit in whatever way is comfortable for you. Sit in a chair if that feels best for you. But one more time, let's just visit long spine, long back of the neck. It's a pleasure and an honor to get to share with you each Wednesday morning. Thank you for coming.